A very good evening to you all, wherever you are, and welcome to A Date with a Dinner Set program 224. Here we are in November. It does not seem that long ago since I welcomed us into October. Doesn't time fly when one is getting older, I would imagine. Hello, Ollie and Maggie and Jerry, fantastic. And hello, Mark Turville, good to see you. Indeed it was. We are smiling because we all can remember that epic, not only the film, but of course that iconic title song, Ghostbusters. It was exactly 40 years ago. So there's another example of time going quickly. The main score of Ghostbusters, that film, which of course starred Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Rick Moranis, amongst other people, Sigourney Weaver. The main score was composed by Elmer Bernstein, but they didn't like his theme tune, and so Ray Parker Jr., who was already a successful singer and songwriter, and amongst other things had his own band and backed Barry White as a keyboard player, he wrote that iconic theme to Ghostbusters, which reached #1 in 9 countries. The UK was not one of those 9. It reached #2 in the UK, where it stayed for 3 weeks. But it seemed a valid one to do here. Yes, brother, I do remember when you showed me the 1 or 2 slides from New York. I do remember still being awake when that one came round. Yes, indeed. Fantastic. So an iconic bit of music to start our programme here tonight on A Date with a Dinner Set. And if you read the blurb underneath the video, which I don't know if you do or not, but it does slightly change each week. And I have alluded to the fact that because we are midway between Halloween and Guy Fawkes Night, our programme this evening and the content will reflect that. I've been looking back over the years at the things we've done around this time, so tonight is a bit of a mix of all those things. Just one or 2200, indeed. Yes, yes. What a day! What an evening! What a weekend it was watching that slideshow, wasn't it? Fantastic. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our opening music this evening, and I do hope that you will enjoy the programme we have prepared for you this evening on A Date with a Dinner Set, whether you are with us live and in the chat room, or live and just lurking, or watching on the catch-up. Do enjoy and do join in the chat if you so wish. I know lots of you just like to lurk and smirk in the background, which is fine also. Where's my coffee? Here we go. Do enjoy. Genie's that, not sure which, but which spelled with a W-I-T-C-H, I'm not sure. Jill is indeed correct. Fantastic, it was. Well, still is, really. But you were listening to Witchcraft, which seemed appropriate. Witchcraft, composed by Coleman, one of my favourite songs of his, the man who composed all the wonderful songs in Sweet Charity and Barnum, amongst other things. And it was written as a standalone song. It wasn't written for any show or for any particular reason, apart from a love of writing. The first person to record it in the same year in which he released it was Frank Sinatra. And it became a big hit for Frank Sinatra. And he liked that one very much. He was quite fussy with the pieces that he recorded. He... Oh, well done, Colin. Fantastic. He recorded it 3 different times. The first time he recorded it was in the famous Capitol recording sessions as orchestrated by Mr. Nelson Riddle. Indeed, brother, that's what I was trying to utter forth from my mouth, but failing miserably on that one, as always. If you do like what you are watching and listening to, then do press the like button and press it with care. We are getting a lot of rogue thumbs down, which is awfully sad. So if you want to press the thumbs up, make sure you do the one that's pointing up. It's on the left, yeah? And additionally, if you've happened upon this and you want to be a part of our merry little channel, then do consider subscribing. It's YouTube, so of course it is free. And if you wish to receive notifications of when things happen on the channel, such as the Friday uploads and this live program and extra things that are happening, then you need to have those notifications switched on, or switched on to occasionally, that sort of thing. So that was our opening one, as I say, from 1957, Witchcraft. Tonight's tie, I don't know if you can see it, is quite a famous painting, is it not? Well, I've said this before, it's a tie, it's not a painting, but it's a tie of a painting. And that painting, of course, being Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, or Vincent van Gogh, or Vincent von Gogh, as I heard it pronounced on YouTube when I was checking it out. But that seemed an appropriate one to do tonight as well. Consider it to be, sort of some early, gentle fireworks, not only for this evening, but also for Tuesday. We'll have a bit more coffee and then we will go on with our next bit of music. Do enjoy. Indeed, you all jumped in there. Well, I'm going to say the younger crowd jumped in there. It was indeed. Who was first? Who was first? Ah, Mark Turville. Fantastic. Hello, Martin, and hello again, Jeannie. How lovely to see you both. Fantastic. Well, thereby hangs the tale, you see, because the software which we use to stream and indeed record our videos has recently added some functionality for doing green screen and black screen. So that's why we've been able to do some extra little things. And that was lots of fun, that Ghost. Great fun with that. But it was indeed, nearly pressed Ghostbusters, and we don't want that. Ghost Town, as you all identified by the Specials, the two-tone band from Coventry. And that was from 1981. And it was composed by Jerry Dammers, the one on which I have put the name on his chest there. And he was the principal songwriter for the Specials. And quite famously, that song came out in 1981 at exactly the same time as Britain was unfortunately involved in a number of riots going on, but that was just pure coincidence that that song is forever linked with the riots of 1981. No, the song was actually composed really to talk about the blight of Britain and a comment on the Thatcher years of ghost towns and unemployment and violence, etc., etc. Another little factoid about that piece. It was the last time the band were together, really. They'd already fallen out big time when they were putting that song together. In fact, so much so that they didn't record it together, the 7 members of the band. Every person recorded separately. Relationships within the group were so bad by that time. It had a pretty iconic video that went with it as well, which some of you may remember, of a Vauxhall Cresta going through some bits of London. And yeah, quite a memorable song, and some very, very unusual musical effects, quite unlike anything else. So that was Ghost Town from 1981. So I hope you enjoyed that one. If there's something that you would like to be played on a date with a dinner set, then you can make a request. And normally we put requests in the last song slot, which can either be a request, something new, something classical, something quirky, or all of the above. But if you have something which you are itching to have heard, then ping me an email and we will slot it into our terribly hectic schedule here on A Date with a Dinner Set. So, as I was just saying, we normally end the programme with our new bit of music, our classical bit of music, our quirky bit of music, or our request. However, this evening, as a bit of a segue into our next section of music, we are putting a new bit of music in now, with your permission. Well, we're putting it in without your permission, actually, because you're 30 seconds behind, so you can't really complain. I'm very lucky. This is the second time I've played this today, albeit on a different instrument. So I do hope you will enjoy this piece, which is a classical piece, new to the programme, but rather appropriate. Let's finish this coffee, and then we will enjoy it together. Hey, you're on the ball tonight, Mark Turville. Must be the excitement of getting your kitchen finished, maybe. I don't know. That is indeed what it was. Some bits from the music for the Royal Fireworks, composed by George Friedrich Handel. And yes, so I played that on the organ at church this morning because it seemed appropriate as the nearest time to bonfire night. So a couple of little facts which I know you will love about the Royal Fireworks. Of course, it came at a time when Handel was very much, he was in England, and he was composing at the order of George II. And they wanted some firework music which was to celebrate something. The Austrians, the end of the war, the Austrian succession. And the specific instruction that came through about the Royal Fireworks was that Handel was not to use any of those confounded fiddle instruments. It was all to be wind instruments. So with a lot of harumping, a technical term, Handel did omit the strings, so it was just for wind and percussion, including some 24 oboes and 12 bassoons. And so it's quite an exciting thing. And they had a rehearsal for these fireworks. Now, the fireworks were actually going to take place in Green Park in London, but they decided to have a rehearsal in Vauxhall Park. I'm not quite sure what the logic of that was. But I can tell you that 12,000 people attended or tried to attend a rehearsal, paying 2 shillings each, which strikes me as quite a lot of money for those days just to attend a rehearsal. Anyway, the amount of people was so extreme that there was a traffic jam. I know, a traffic jam in 1749 on London Bridge, which was the only way to get to south of the river, caused by all the carriages of the people wanting to get to the rehearsal of the Royal Fireworks. So on the evening itself, the fireworks were a bit of a damp squib, as they often were. It was wet and windy, and unfortunately several people got injured. But the music went down somewhat well, and so that was the reason for us having a bit of La Réjouissance and Minuet from the Royal Fireworks of 1749, which was, of course, the segue into the second bit. We've had the sort of ghostly Halloween bit, and we are now firmly in the fireworks bit of the evening. But even older, here's another link, even older than that bit of music is this tree, which some of you may have seen. It's been crowned UK Tree of the Year 2024. And it's up in Scotland, and it's known as the Skipinish Oak, after the Cayley band that discovered it. And I'm not quite sure why they can't be more accurate. According to the BBC, it's between 400 and 1,000 years old. That's quite a range, in my humble opinion. However, it matters not, because that is a beautiful tree, isn't it? Isn't it fantastic? And how wonderful that we do have trees like that, and indeed older, that are preserved throughout the world. So I thought we'd just throw that one in merrily. The coffee is finished, so we're on to Magic Water as we go into our next bit of music. Hope you enjoy and recognise. oranges. Thank you, brother, for that. Lovely. You'll have to explain what you're talking about. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, indeed, as Hannah said, Libertango, closely followed by Alison and Jean as well. By great favourite composer, my Mr. Astor Piazzolla, the Argentinian bandoneon virtuoso player. That is quite a big bandoneon. It looks terribly heavy to me and terribly wide as well. But what a player, what a personality. And he had such an amazing life. And during his lifetime, he reinvented the form of a tango, turning it from a classical form into what he termed the Nuevo Tango. And Libertango, which was composed in 1974, so exactly 50 years ago, was the first example, and perhaps his most famous piece actually, of Nuevo Tango. And Piazzolla, as I say, had quite a varied life. He had various bands which he organised throughout his life. He also spent 2 years in the 1950s in Paris studying classical form with the very famous Nadia Boulanger, who advised him to stick to his Argentinian tango roots, and thank goodness he did, because during his lifetime he composed over 600 tangos, of which Libertango from 1974 is just one. So I hope you enjoyed that little musical firework. I certainly did, even if I, as usual, forget to breathe in the correct way. So let's have a little bit of a little break before our next piece, and think about today, which not only is November the 3rd and programme 224 on a date with a dinner set, but of course, as you well know, it is National Sandwich Day. In fact, it is International Sandwich Day, and in some sources I read, it is World Sandwich Day, November the 3rd, in celebration of the sandwich. And I can tell you that I have a disturbing number of facts just logged in my head about sandwiches, because exactly 25 years ago I wrote a song about sandwiches, so therefore needed to do a little bit of research. These are in the days really before the internet, so it was, you know, good old-fashioned sort of looking up books and things. Anyway, today is National Sandwich Day, and I'm sure you know the legend that says that John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, supposedly invented the sandwich because he was a gambler and he didn't want to miss a hand, so he commanded that some slabs of old meat be put between some wadges of bread so he could hold said thing and continue to gamble. Whether or not that is true, I know not, because there are other sources that will tell you that many hundred years earlier, a rabbi talked about putting some bitter herbed lamb between 2 bits of matzah bread. So who knows the story? But maybe you'd like to tell us about your favourite sandwich and your quirks when it comes to sandwich, because you can do that as we now have one of those calmer fireworks. So do enjoy. Alison, my thinking was it was one of those sort of tiny little stubby fireworks that you get in the bottom of a standard firework box that just sort of shoots out little stars. That was the thinking behind it. Indeed, When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio, composed by Leigh Harline. Leigh Harline, who was already an established film score composer, he has over 40 films to his credit, including the scores to Snow White and Pinocchio, but he actually wrote that song, which, as we know, was famously sung by the character Jiminy Cricket, and indeed, it's the end song. It's also, as Jill, I think, has just pointed out, the sort of opening sort of motif to all the Disney films. So that was our quiet fire. Oh gosh, all the sandwiches are flooding in. Can the sandwich flood in? Actually, I forgot to tell you an important fact, which I know is on the tip of your crust, and that is to say that the first pre-packaged sandwich in the UK, mainstream, appeared in 1980. 1980 was the first packaged sandwich, and it was from dear old Marks and Spencer's. And the flavour, believe it or not, the first sandwich that was sold was salmon and tomato. And the cost of that sandwich in 1980 was 43p. It was not known at the time whether those pre-packaged sandwiches would catch on, because why would people go out and buy a pre-packaged sandwich, something you could easily make at home in about 6 minutes? So there you go. I'm loving all the combinations coming out. Absolutely fantastic. So I do hope you enjoyed that little one. And now, before we go into our final bit of music and advert for this week's upload, I was going to say I inspired myself. That sounds a bit big-headed. I didn't mean that. But I really enjoyed playing that Barry Manilow song, When October Goes, with lyrics by Johnny Mercer on last week's show. So I thought I'd have a better go at it and record it. So there's a slightly neater version now on the channel as this week's upload. If you wanted to take a look at that, there is a link to it in the video description. The song and When October Goes, a sort of metaphor for aging, with a really beautiful lyric composed by Johnny Mercer, whose widow donated the lyric to Barry Manilow, and Barry came up with that wonderful bit of music. It's worth it. If you've not heard it, it is worth a listen. I've had quite a few nice comments about it this week, so do have a look if you wish. Oh dear, what's happening now with the sandwiches are causing issues. We always like to stir it up, don't we, in the chat room. I think we better bring this whole shebang to a violent end now with our final bit of music. So do enjoy the final one, and we will say goodnight afterwards in our usual way. Do enjoy. Which music explosion brings us to the end of A Date with a Dinner Set. It was indeed the opening track, The Eve of the War, from Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War in the Worlds, as many of you said, from 1978, an iconic double studio album. It spawned a musical and goodness knows how many world tours. Apparently it sold over 15 million albums worldwide. Lots and lots and lots of fun. I've had, loving all the emojis that are popping up. I've had a great time preparing this sort of mixture of Halloween and fireworks. So I hope you've enjoyed it as well, wherever you have been listening. Do take very good care of yourselves in the week that is to come. And I look forward to the great pleasure of playing for you again next Sunday. Thank you so much for listening. Good night.